The massive alien fleet appeared at the edge of our solar system without warning. Their ships blotted out the stars like an advancing storm front. Earth's instruments detected them first as an anomaly, then as a terrifying reality. Over 300 vessels of unknown design and immense power. Within hours, every major government received the same message: prepare for contact. Earth's Unified Defense Council gathered in Tokyo. The emergency meeting brought together military leaders, scientists, and diplomats from around the world. They assembled in a reinforced underground chamber designed to withstand nuclear attack, though no one believed it would offer protection against the visitors. Admiral Kim arrived last, his face grim as he took his place at the round table. He had aged 10 years in the past 12 hours, the weight of humanity's defense resting heavily on his shoulders. "What do we know?" asked President Lee, her voice steady despite the fear evident in her eyes. "Very little," replied Dr. Park, adjusting his glasses. "Their technology is unlike anything we've ever seen. The energy readings alone suggest capabilities far beyond our understanding." The room fell silent as the central display activated. A holographic figure materialized above the table, tall, with 6 limbs and a face that seemed almost insect-like, yet with disturbing hints of something almost human in its features. "Humans of Earth," the alien spoke, its voice translated into a cold, mechanical tone. "We are the Galactic Hegemony, and we have determined your species to be unfit for galactic society. Your chaotic nature presents an unacceptable risk." The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Several council members exchanged glances, while others stared in disbelief. Dr. Park, Earth's chief diplomat, stepped forward. His hands trembled slightly, but his voice remained steady. "We seek peaceful relations with all." "Silence," the ambassador cut him off, a ripple of irritation passing across its strange features. "You have 7 standard days to surrender your planet and accept controlled integration. Resistance means extinction." The transmission ended abruptly, leaving the room in stunned silence. Admiral Kim was the first to speak. "Initial scans confirm what we feared. Their technology appears centuries beyond our current capabilities." "Can we fight them?" General Yoon asked, though his tone suggested he already knew the answer. "With what?" Admiral Kim replied. "Our most advanced weapons would be like throwing stones at a tank. The energy shields on their smallest scout ships could withstand our nuclear arsenal." Dr. Park slumped into his chair. "Then we negotiate. Perhaps we can secure better terms." "They're not here to negotiate," President Lee interrupted. "Did you see how they looked at us? Like we're insects to be controlled or exterminated." She stood up, her small frame somehow filling the room. "Then we have no choice but to find an advantage they don't expect." The council erupted in a mixture of arguments and desperate suggestions. Some advocated immediate surrender to save lives. Others proposed hiding key personnel deep underground to preserve something of humanity. Amid the chaos, Dr. Jin, a quantum physicist from Seoul National University, raised her hand. When the room finally quieted, she spoke softly. There might be a way. All eyes turned to her. "Their communication systems use quantum entanglement," she explained. "I detected it during the transmission. It's similar to theoretical models we've been working on, but far more advanced." "How does that help us?" asked General Yoon impatiently. "Every system has vulnerabilities," Dr. Jin continued. "If we can understand their quantum network, we might be able to disrupt it. Without communication, their fleet would lose coordination." Admiral Kim leaned forward. "Go on." "I'd need access to more data," Dr. Jin said. "Ideally, direct access to one of their systems." General Yoon scoffed. "You want us to board an alien ship? Impossible." "Not necessarily," Major Han interjected. Everyone turned to the Special Forces commander who had been silent until now. "My team specializes in impossible missions. If they have smaller scout ships operating in our system, we might be able to capture one." President Lee nodded slowly. Dr. Jin works on understanding their communications. Major Han prepares for a possible boarding operation. Admiral Kim, what about our orbital defenses? We have the satellite network, he replied hesitantly. It was designed for asteroid deflection, but with modifications. Do it, President Lee ordered. And keep it quiet. As far as the hegemony knows, we're considering their offer. Dr. Park frowned. What about evacuation plans? We should get as many people to safety as possible. One by one, they entered the ship, finding themselves in a dimly lit corridor with walls that seemed to pulse with an inner light. The air was thick and smelled faintly of ozone. They moved through the ship according to their practiced route, encountering no resistance. The aliens, it seemed, never considered the possibility of being boarded. As they approached what intelligence had identified as the control center, Lieutenant Song suddenly froze, her foot hovering above a section of flooring that looked slightly different. Wait, she whispered, pulling out a scanner. Security system. The team held their positions as she analyzed the threat. It's keyed to their biology. If anything with a different molecular structure touches it, it triggers an alarm. Major Tai checked his timer. 8 minutes left. Can you bypass it? Lieutenant Song shook her head. Not enough time. But she reached into her pack and pulled out a small container of engineered biomatter, a substance designed to mimic alien cellular structures based on samples recovered from previous encounters. This might fool it long enough for us to pass. She carefully applied the substance to a small drone, which she sent across the security field. Seconds stretched into an eternity as they waited for alarms to sound. None came. Quick, everyone coat your boots, she said, passing the container around. They crossed the security field and reached the control center. Inside, 2 alien operators turned in surprise at their entrance. Before they could react, Major Tai's team neutralized them with specialized stun weapons. Control room secure, Major Tai reported. Lieutenant, get what we need. Lieutenant Song connected their devices to the alien systems, beginning the data transfer that Dr. Jun needed. Suddenly, alarm lights began flashing. They've detected the intrusion, she said, her voice tense but controlled. The biomatter is breaking down faster than expected. Major Tai checked his timer. 4 minutes until our air runs out. How much longer? 3 minutes for the complete download, she replied, fingers flying over her equipment. The sound of movement came from the corridor outside. Defensive positions, Major Tai ordered. We hold until that download completes. The first alien appeared in the doorway and was immediately hit with concentrated fire from the team's weapons. More followed, forcing the humans to take cover behind alien equipment. 2 minutes, Lieutenant Song called out as she protected the downloading device. The firefight intensified. One team member took a hit from an alien weapon, his suit sizzling where the energy blast connected. Download complete, Lieutenant Song announced finally. Extraction Plan Alpha, Major Tai ordered. Go. They fought their way back through the ship, making it to the access point just as their air supply reached critical levels. As they escaped into the night sky, the alien scout ship behind them began to emit a strange pulsing light. It's going to self-destruct, Major Tai realized. Accelerate descent. They plummeted toward the ocean below as the night lit up with the explosion of the scout ship. The shockwave hit them just before they reached the water, sending them tumbling into the sea. The submarine recovered 5 of the 6 team members. Lieutenant Song had been separated in the blast, and for terrifying minutes, they feared her lost. Then the radio crackled. "This is Song," came her weak voice. "I'm 2 kilometers east of your position. The data core is secure." Within hours, the precious alien data was on its way to Dr. Jun's laboratory. All across Earth, massive evacuations created the appearance of surrender preparations. The public was told these were precautionary measures, but in reality they were clearing civilians from what would soon become battlefields. Behind this veil of apparent capitulation, Earth's real defense strategy unfolded in secret. The emergency meeting of Earth's Security Council had been called with only minutes of notice. The members filed into the underground bunker beneath Seoul, their faces grim but determined as they took their seats around the circular table. General Choi stood at the head of the room, his weathered face illuminated by the soft blue light of the holographic display. At 72, he was the oldest active officer in Earth's unified defense force, and the only one present who had been part of the original Roswell recovery team. "What you're about to see is classified beyond top secret," he began. "Until today, fewer than 50 people on the planet knew of its existence." President Lee leaned forward. "General, we have less than 24 hours before the hegemony's deadline. This is not the time for secrets." "On the contrary, Madam President," General Choi replied, "this is precisely the time." He pressed a button, and the holographic display filled with images of technology that looked nothing like Earth's conventional weapons. The Prometheus Protocol was never just theoretical. We've been developing it since the Roswell recovery in 1947. A stunned silence fell over the room. "Roswell?" Admiral Kim finally asked. "You mean the conspiracy theories were?" "Partially true," General Choi confirmed. "What crashed in New Mexico wasn't a hegemony ship. It was a refugee vessel, fleeing from them. The pilot survived long enough to warn us about the threat and provide us with technology. And you've kept this hidden for over 70 years. Dr. Park asked, his voice rising with indignation. "By international agreement," General Choi replied. "Leaders from 7 nations made the decision to develop the technology in secret to prevent panic and to ensure the hegemony wouldn't detect our preparations if they were monitoring our communications." He manipulated the display, showing seemingly normal satellites orbiting Earth. "These are our defense platforms. From the outside, they appear to be ordinary communication satellites or space telescopes. In reality, they contain weapon systems based on the Roswell technology." "How many?" asked President Lee. 312, positioned strategically around the planet." Admiral Kim shook his head in disbelief. How could such a program remain hidden for so long? "Compartmentalization," General Choi explained. "No single person knew the full scope. Funding was hidden in the budgets of a dozen agencies across multiple countries. Components were manufactured separately, with assembly taking place in orbit." Dr. Jin, who had just arrived from her laboratory, stepped forward. "Will it be enough to stop them?" General Choi's expression grew somber. "Alone? No, but combined with your disruption algorithm." "Which is now complete," Dr. Jin interjected. She held up a data drive. "Thanks to the information Major Taz's team recovered, I've identified the vulnerability in their quantum network and created an algorithm that should disrupt their entire communication system." President Lee stood up. "Then we have a plan. General, prepare your hidden weapons. Dr. Jin, get your algorithm to Major Taz's team immediately." In Earth's orbit, satellite engineer Hyun floated in the control module of what appeared to be an ordinary weather monitoring satellite. He had been one of the few who knew the truth about the Prometheus network, maintaining the disguised weapons platforms for over 15 years. His hands moved confidently over the control panel as he received the authorization codes from Earth. "Beginning system transformation," he reported. Activation sequence initiated. Across Earth's orbit, hundreds of seemingly ordinary satellites began to change. Solar panels retracted, revealing weapon ports. Communication dishes realigned, transforming into targeting systems. Weather sensors withdrew, replaced by advanced shield generators. "Transformation complete," Hyun confirmed. "All systems operational and ready." On the main display, he could see the hegemony fleet, still holding position just beyond the moon. They showed no reaction to the satellite's transformation. Their sensors, designed to detect power sources like their own, failed to recognize the unique energy signature of the Prometheus weapons. "They don't see us," Hyun whispered to himself. "They still don't see us." In her laboratory, Dr. Jin worked feverishly to finalize the disruption algorithm. The data from the captured scout ship had been even more valuable than she had hoped, revealing not just the flaw in the hegemony's quantum network, but also details of their tactical systems. Their entire fleet operates as a single organism, she explained to her team. Each ship connected to the others through quantum entanglement. It gives them perfect coordination, but it also creates a critical vulnerability. She looked up at the wall of screens displaying the approaching alien fleet. The hegemony believes we're primitive, Dr. Jin explained as she packaged the final version of her disruption algorithm. Their arrogance is their weakness. They've never needed to guard against attacks on their network, because no species they've encountered had the understanding to attempt it. As she worked, she thought about the weight of what they were attempting. One mistake, one miscalculation, and humanity would be lost. Yet despite the pressure, her hands remained steady. "Algorithm complete," she announced. "Transmitting to the asteroid belt team now." Deep in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, Major Tez's team had established their base of operations inside the captured Hegemony scout ship. They had spent days learning to operate the alien vessel, using the knowledge gained from the ship's data core. The scout ship hummed motionless among the asteroids, its systems running on minimal power to avoid detection. Inside, the team had converted the main control chamber into their operations center. "Incoming transmission from Earth," Lieutenant Song announced. "It's Dr. Jin's algorithm." Major Ta nodded. "Download it directly to the quantum disruptor." Technician Du monitored the integration of the algorithm into the device they had built using parts from the scout ship combined with Earth technology. The quantum disruptor was the size of a small refrigerator, glowing with a soft purple light as it powered up. "Integration successful," he reported. "Running diagnostics now." After a tense minute, he looked up with a smile. "All systems calibrated. Ready on your command." Major Tai opened a channel to Earth. "Asteroid team to command. Disruptor is ready. Awaiting final authorization." "Understood," came the reply from President Lee herself. "Hold for my signal. We're making one last attempt at peace." On the bridge of the Hegemony flagship, Supreme Commander Vos watched with satisfaction as his fleet began moving into attack formation. The massive ships arranged themselves in a ceremonial pattern, a tradition dating back millennia. The formation was not just tactical but symbolic, designed to display the overwhelming power of the hegemony to those about to be conquered. "The humans are transmitting again," his communications officer reported. "They wish to discuss terms." Vos made a dismissive gesture with two of his 6 limbs. "Put it through. Their fear amuses me." The holographic image of President Lee appeared on the bridge. Her expression was calm, revealing none of the terror Vos had expected. "Hegemony forces," she began, "we make this final appeal for peace. Earth wishes no conflict with your civilization. We believe coexistence is possible and would benefit both our peoples." Vos let out a sound that approximated laughter. "Your species has been evaluated and found wanting. Your tendency toward violence and your rapid technological development make you a future threat to galactic stability. The decision is final." "Then you leave us no choice," President Lee replied, her voice steady. "What follows is on your head." The transmission ended. Vos turned to his tactical officer. "Begin the approach. Prepare the first wave of ships for atmospheric entry." As the Hegemony fleet moved toward Earth in perfect formation, none of them noticed the small scout ship hiding among the asteroids, nor the satellites orbiting Earth that no longer appeared to be simple communication devices. The trap was set. Humanity's desperate gambit was about to unfold. Supreme Commander Vos stood tall on the bridge of his massive flagship, his 6 limbs arranged in the formal position of dominance. Around him, the bridge crew worked efficiently at their stations, their movements precise and coordinated like parts of a well-oiled machine. Through the massive viewing portal, Earth hung like a blue jewel against the blackness of space, beautiful and seemingly defenseless. "Begin recording," Vos ordered, his voice rich with satisfaction. A small drone floated up, its recording light activating as it captured his image against the backdrop of the approaching planet. "To the High Council and all citizens of the hegemony. He began, his mandibles clicking slightly with pleasure. The primitive world designated Earth will soon join our glorious union. Their defenses are negligible, their technology primitive. Victory is certain. Earth will be subdued within hours. He paused, enjoying the moment. In his 300 years of service to the hegemony, he had overseen the subjugation of 17 worlds, but Earth would be his crowning achievement. Intelligence reports suggested humans had great potential, and properly controlled, they could become valuable servants. Prepare the ceremonial bombardment, he ordered as the recording ended. Target their major military installations first, then government centers. His tactical officer manipulated the control surface, sending commands throughout the fleet. All ships acknowledge. Weapons charging. Time to optimal firing range. 6 minutes. Voss settled into his command chair, prepared to watch humanity's defeat with the calm detachment of a superior being observing the inevitable. Deep beneath Seoul, President Lee stood in the Unified Command Center, surrounded by military officers and government officials from around the world. The massive screen showed the approaching hegemony fleet, now close enough to be visible from Earth's surface as points of light moving against the stars. "They're in attack formation," Admiral Kim reported. "Weapons charging. Estimated time to firing range. 6 minutes." President Lee looked at the faces around her. For a moment, she felt the weight of history on her shoulders. Not just human history, but what could be the end of it. Then she straightened, her decision made. "All nations report ready," she asked. General Choi nodded. "All Prometheus platforms are operational. Ground-based defense systems are manned and prepared." "Dr. Jin." The president turned to the physicist. "The quantum disruptor team is in position. They await your command," Dr. Jin replied. President Lee took a deep breath. "Send the signal to Major Ta. Then patch me through to all Earth Defense Forces." As the communication officer worked, President Lee gathered her thoughts. When the officer nodded, indicating she was live, she spoke clearly and calmly. "Defenders of Earth, this is President Lee. The moment we have prepared for has arrived. The enemy believes our defeat is certain. They have no idea what awaits them." She paused, then gave the order that would change humanity's destiny. "Activate Prometheus." In Earth's orbit, satellite engineer Hyun received the command and executed the final activation sequence. Across Earth's orbit, the disguised weapon platforms powered up to full capacity, their targeting systems locking onto the approaching alien vessels. Meanwhile, hidden in the asteroid belt, Major Ta received the president's order. He turned to his team, their faces illuminated by the soft purple glow of the quantum disruptor. "This is it," he said simply. He nodded to Lieutenant Song. "Now." Lieutenant Song took a deep breath and pressed her hand against the activation panel. The quantum disruptor hummed, its pitch rising rapidly. The purple glow intensified, then shot outward in a wave of energy that was invisible to the human eye, but devastating to the hegemony's quantum communication network. On the bridge of his flagship, Supreme Commander Vos was about to give the order to fire when his world dissolved into chaos. First came the silence, the constant background hum of the quantum network suddenly gone. Then the alarms began, hundreds of them all at once, as system after system reported failures. The viewing screen showed impossible readings as ships throughout the fleet lost coordination. "What's happening?" Vos demanded, rising from his command chair. "The network is down," his communications officer shouted. "All ships are reporting the same. Navigation systems failing. Shields fluctuating." Vos watched in horror as his perfectly arranged fleet fell into disarray. Without the quantum network to coordinate their movements, ships veered off course. 2 cruisers collided, their hulls crumpling against each other in a shower of debris and venting atmosphere. "Impossible," he hissed. "No primitive species cold." His words were cut short as the first Prometheus weapon fired. A beam of blinding blue energy lanced out from what had appeared to be an ordinary satellite, cutting through the shields of a hegemony destroyer as if they weren't there. The vessel shuddered, then broke apart as secondary explosions rippled through its hull. More beams followed, dozens of them, then hundreds, as the full Prometheus network unleashed its firepower. Hegemony vessels, designed for coordinated warfare with shared shield frequencies and tactical systems, found themselves unable to mount an effective defense. "Return fire," Voss ordered, his voice rising in panic. "Target those satellites." His weapons officer tried desperately to comply, but without the coordination of the quantum network, the hegemony's sophisticated targeting systems were reduced to crude approximations. The few shots they managed went wide, missing the nimble Prometheus platforms. In the command center beneath Seoul, Admiral Kim watched the battle unfold with grim satisfaction. "They're in disarray," he reported. The quantum disruptor worked perfectly, launching counteroffensive. At his command, Earth's ground-based defenses joined the attack. Massive rail guns, hidden beneath the ice of Antarctica and the deserts of North Africa, fired projectiles at incredible speeds. Laser arrays built into mountain ranges targeted the engines of the larger hegemony ships, crippling their mobility. "Impossible," the hegemony commander screamed as his flagship trembled under Earth's assault. A direct hit from a Prometheus beam had penetrated the bridge shields, killing several crew members and leaving a molten hole in the deck. "How can they have this technology? Our intelligence said they were primitive." His tactical officer tried to respond, but was thrown across the bridge as another hit rocked the massive vessel. Fires broke out as power conduits ruptured. The elegant design of the hegemony flagship, built for intimidation rather than sustained combat, began to show its weaknesses. Across the fleet, similar scenes played out. Hegemony captains, trained to fight as part of a coordinated force, found themselves isolated and vulnerable. Some attempted to retreat, only to find their navigation systems giving false readings due to the continuing effects of the quantum disruptor. On the hidden scout ship, Major Tai and his team watched their monitors with growing elation as the battle unfolded. "It's working," Lieutenant Song whispered, barely able to believe her eyes. "It's actually working." Major Tai nodded, his expression serious despite their success. "Keep the disruptor at maximum output. They'll try to re-establish their network." On Earth, civilians looked up at the night sky in wonder and fear as it lit up with the flashes of battle. News broadcasts showed live footage captured by telescopes, commentators struggling to explain the miracle they were witnessing as humanity's hidden defenses turned back an enemy that had seemed invincible. In cities around the world, people emerged from shelters to watch. Some cheered, others prayed, but all shared the same realization: humanity had a chance. The battle for Earth had begun, and against all odds, humanity was winning. The space around Earth was littered with the debris of the once mighty hegemony fleet. Shattered hulls and twisted metal reflected the sunlight, creating a strange new ring around the planet. Defense teams worked constantly to track and remove the larger pieces that might pose a danger to Earth's own satellites. Supreme Commander Vos had not survived the battle. His flagship, once the pride of the hegemony forces, had broken apart under the concentrated fire of 3 Prometheus platforms. Only 18 of the 300 hegemony vessels had escaped, limping back toward their home systems with their quantum drives damaged and their crews in shock. On Earth, the celebrations lasted for days. Streets filled with people singing, dancing, and embracing strangers. Ancient rivalries were temporarily forgotten as humanity rejoiced in its collective survival. President Lee addressed the United Nations, her tired face breaking into a rare smile. "Today marks a new chapter in human history," she said. "We have faced the stars and found that we are not alone, nor are we helpless. The road ahead will not be easy, but we will walk it together." Scientists and engineers began the enormous task of studying and adapting the alien technology from the captured and destroyed vessels. The work was challenging. Hegemony systems operated on principles that sometimes contradicted Earth science, but the potential rewards were extraordinary. Dr. June led the research team examining the quantum communication technology. Her previous work had helped save humanity, But she knew it was just the beginning. We didn't just defeat them, she explained to her colleagues. We've learned from them. And now we must move forward. 3 months after the battle, the first transmissions arrived from other star systems. Not from the hegemony, but from worlds that had been under their control. The news of Earth's victory had spread, carried by the surviving ships, and then racing from planet to planet through subspace channels. The message was always the same. If humans could defeat the hegemony, perhaps others could too. Uprisings began on a dozen worlds. Species that had lived under hegemony rule for centuries saw an opportunity for freedom. Some succeeded immediately, overthrowing their surprised overseers. Others struggled, reaching out to Earth for assistance. President Lee convened an emergency session of Earth's Security Council. We never sought to become warriors, she said, but we cannot ignore these calls for help. The decision was unanimous. Earth would respond, not with conquest, but with alliance. The Prometheus technology would be shared with those fighting for freedom, along with tactical advice and, where necessary, direct military support. Major Tad led the first mission to Kepler 22 bits, home to a species called the Noro who had been among the first to rebel. His team brought weapons and training, helping the insect-like aliens establish their own defense systems against hegemony retaliation. Your defiance inspired us, the Noro leader told him. For generations, we believed the hegemony was invincible. You showed us otherwise. 6 months after the Battle of Earth, Ambassador Han stood before the first gathering of the newly formed Galactic Alliance. The meeting took place on a neutral space station constructed hastily at a point equidistant from the founding worlds. Representatives from 27 species filled the chamber, their diverse bodies and communication methods requiring complex translation systems. Ambassador Han, chosen for her diplomatic skills and quick mind, surveyed the assembly with a sense of wonder. Just months ago, humanity had believed itself alone in the universe. Now, they stood at the center of a new interstellar community. Distinguished representatives, she began, her words translated into 26 different languages and communication forms. We gather today not as conquerors or subjects, but as equals. Earth did not seek this role in galactic affairs. We were forced into it by the hegemony's aggression. But now that we find ourselves here, we commit to helping build a galaxy where all sentient beings are treated with dignity and respect. The chamber erupted in sounds of approval. Everything from humanoid applause to the rhythmic wing buzzing of insectoid species. The hegemony's power was built on fear and isolation. Ambassador Han continued. They kept subjugated worlds separate, preventing us from sharing knowledge and strength. That ends today. This alliance will be founded on cooperation and mutual defense. As she spoke, on distant hegemony worlds, the ruling council was in chaos. Their millennia of expansion had been halted by a species they had dismissed as primitive. Reports came in daily of more worlds declaring independence. Their once mighty military, designed for coordinated action through the quantum network, struggled to adapt to the new reality where that advantage had been neutralized. On Earth, Dr. June accepted the Nobel Prize for her work on quantum physics. The ceremony was broadcast globally, with billions watching as she stepped up to the podium. This award honors not just my work, but the contributions of every scientist, engineer, and brave soul who helped save our world, she said. The knowledge we gained will transform our understanding of the universe. But with this knowledge comes responsibility, to use it wisely, to share it justly, and to ensure it benefits all of humanity. Meanwhile, Major Taz's team received quieter honors in a classified ceremony. Their mission, still officially secret, was commemorated with medals presented by President Lee herself. Your courage made everything else possible, she told them. History may never know your names, but Earth will always be in your debt. Cities around the world began incorporating salvage alien technology into their infrastructure. The effects were dramatic and swift. Energy systems became cleaner and more efficient as hegemony power sources were adapted to human needs. Medical technology advanced rapidly, with alien healing techniques integrated into Earth hospitals. Transportation networks transformed as gravity manipulation became possible on a limited scale. Earth's first interstellar vessel, named Phoenix, was launched 1 year after the battle. Built using a combination of human innovation and adapted hegemony technology, it carried scientists and diplomats to nearby star systems, strengthening the growing alliance. And on distant worlds across the galaxy, formerly subjugated species began their own journeys toward freedom. Some faced difficult transitions after centuries of dependence on hegemony systems. Others flourished immediately, their natural abilities finally unleashed. All were inspired by the humans who had achieved the impossible. The galaxy had learned an important lesson: never underestimate a species fighting for its survival. Humanity, once dismissed as primitive and chaotic, had proven that determination and ingenuity could overcome even the most advanced technology. As Earth took its place among the stars, it carried this lesson forward. Strength came not from dominance, but from cooperation, not from fear, but from hope. The end.